The Secretary of the Commonwealth, Bill Galvin, is our guest this morning. Let's go on the record. He's guided the state through a presidential election and a census in the middle of a pandemic. With voting rights under siege and redistricting looming, can he navigate a treacherous timeline? The Secretary's here. Let's go on the record.
From WCVB Channel 5, the inside word from Washington to Beacon Hill. Today's newsmakers are going on the record.
Welcome to OTR. I'm Ed Harding, along with News Center 5's political reporter Janet Wu. It's great to have you with us on this last Sunday in June, and summer is here. Our guest this morning is Bill Galvin, as we said, the Massachusetts Secretary of State. He is a Democrat, serving as Secretary since 1995, a native of Brighton, graduate of BC and Suffolk Law School. Welcome back to OTR. It's great to have you, sir. Thanks for your time.
So let's start with the biggest political brouhaha on Beacon Hill right now. It's redistricting. Democratic legislators want to change the law so that they can redraw districts top down. Current state law gives cities and towns the right to do it, and then they move it back up to the legislative level. House Ways and Means Chairman Aaron Michowitz was here just a couple weeks ago, and he claimed that the delayed census numbers are the reason they want to do it this way. Is he right?
Well, he may believe that, but I don't, and it's not accurate. We will have census numbers probably in the middle part of August. We've already been working with cities and towns to prepare them to re-precinct. That's the technical term. The real issue is this. The census was a great success. I'm very proud of the effort we had, that I headed it up. We broke 7 million people for the first time, and that's, I believe, an accurate number. The cities and towns and the communities worked hard to help us get those numbers. The issue here is not simply a bureaucratic one. The issue is defining communities within a community. In other words, defining neighborhoods, defining various sections of towns. For town governments, oftentimes the town meeting members are directed by this. In cities, it's the city councilors. They should have the right to define the political districts within their own community, and then the legislature use those to draw the larger districts. People are losing sight of the fact that I think the issue when it comes to redistricting or any kind of thing, it's not about candidates. It's not about campaigns. It's about communities and voters. And I believe the local communities, and it's amazing how many of them have already stood up and said, yes, Mass Municipal Association, others, yes, we need to be able to define our own political boundaries.
Do you believe that the Democrats on Beacon Hill are trying to protect the incumbents, and that's why they want to take charge of this procedure at the start?
Well, let me answer you by saying they're certainly leaving themselves open to that charge. The reason I say that is that this process that we have on the books now has worked very well in the last 2 census efforts that I've been involved with. We have communities already ready to do it. We've been working with them, preparing.
They've got their numbers. They're ready to go.
Well, they don't have the numbers. That's the problem. The numbers are delayed, but that doesn't mean it's delayed for the whole country. We do know we have a very good number. We have 7 million people. We do know in general the communities came in at the higher end, but we don't have the exact numbers. But the communities, this is for most communities, this is going to be a readjustment of the existing lines. For instance, take Barnstable on the Cape. Down there, the precincts pretty much define the so-called villages on the Cape in Barnstable. You could say in Framingham, the same situation. The precincts have some sort of significance. In Brookline, same situation. Those communities should have the right to redefine and recalibrate their communities, their precincts, based upon the numbers that we get. And then the legislature can use those. Now, what I have said is this, and I have no problem with this. If the legislature, in this case it's the House primarily, if they want to define their districts by census tracts, which are the smallest denominator coming out of the Bureau, without regard to precincts, they can. They've done it before. It creates a little bit of an administrative headache for me, drawing up, printing ballots, but I'm willing to sustain that. I prefer to give the communities the right to define their precincts for other purposes, such as town or city government. So if the legislature wants to use the census tracts, they may, if they choose to.
You've used the number of 7 million people, 7+ million people here in Massachusetts, and you've said it's accurate. You sat here this morning and said it's an accurate number. So, but do you suspect that there are others who didn't weigh in because of their illegal status, and if so?
Well, that was the great fear we had. I mean, the reason the census was such a success, and I'm so proud of it, is that we're up against incredible odds. We had the Trump administration, which is putting every impediment, including the last one, which was ending the count early, to prevent us from getting an accurate count. They tried to frighten people who were non-native born consistently. We knew in Massachusetts we had a lot of non-native born persons. We reached out to those communities with the help of Mirror and other groups.
Do you think you got them all, though?
Well, I think given that we were working with reliable estimates that had our population nearing 7 million, yes, I do. We'll know with certainty when we see the actual numbers in the communities. And that's the wait. The wait here is to see how many what the actual numbers are in the individual communities.
Could the pandemic have affected it at all? In other words, people aren't...
No, because it was all pretty much, we were working during the pandemic, but we had reached out, we did everything we could. It was online, by mail. I don't think that was it. The pandemic problem was they couldn't go door to door, but the Bureau was having that problem nationally.
Yeah.
So voting rights are a big controversy across the country right now. The U.S. Supreme Court and the U.S. House are about to weigh in on changes on how folks vote and which ones are going to be counted. In Massachusetts, mail-in voting and early voting were very successful during the pandemic. Where do things stand right now to make them permanent? I know the legislature's looking at it, and where does it stand?
Well, it's one of those things where everyone says, let's go someplace, and then we're trying to figure out how to get there. I think everyone agrees it was a great success. Once again, I'm very proud of that effort. And I think even amongst states that had vote by mail, our experience was one of the best in the nation. We had a count early. We had reliable counts. Even people who were unsuccessful as candidates in most cases, didn't quarrel with the outcome. And certainly there was no question that voters used it, both Democrats and Republicans. We want a permanent bill passed, and there are various versions which I've testified to and other groups have. We now have a situation, and this is of great concern to me, where the current authorization is going to expire on Tuesday, the 30th. It will be the last day, or the 30th is Wednesday, the last day for the current authorization for municipal elections. So going into the city election in Boston, in Lawrence, in Lynn, many cities that are having open mayoral races, there will not be the option to vote by mail without excuse unless the legislature does something. The Senate did, but the House didn't follow suit. The House, on the other hand, put forward a rider on a budget that authorized vote by mail next year in 2022. Well, that's good too, but that doesn't solve the problem this year, and some people don't feel it's comprehensive enough. For instance, it doesn't include election day registration, which I support and was in my proposal. So we really need for them to get their act together and get this done, but especially we need it for the cities, especially for the cities that are having preliminaries on September 14th, which is now less than 90 days away. The opportunity to vote by mail in those cities is very important.
And that's an immediate fire, and I'm not dismissing that. But can you count on the governor's support for for mail-in voting?
Yeah, no, the governor's been very vocal about
Permanently.
this.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, the governor is not a problem on this at all, and he never was a problem. I shouldn't say it that way, but he's supportive. I'm not. Our issues are getting the legislation through the legislature
By Wednesday, if possible.
What we need by Wednesday, or as soon as possible, is authorization to continue the existing rules that apply to towns thus far this year through the end of December or into December. What we need at the same time, certainly before the end of the legislative session, is permanent vote by mail, vote in person early if people choose to, and other reforms that we found last year were so effective.
And in a simple sentence, where are the roadblocks? Why would anyone think it's an illogical step?
Well, I don't think you're giving them far too much credit. No, I mean, I think this is the typical legislative give and take that goes on, and that's fine, except we're up against the clock here. And this is so important. You know what really makes it important is this. Around the country, we've seen, unfortunately, very efficient, ruthlessly efficient efforts to curtail voters' rights.
Right.
Here we are all agreeing, governors agreeing, Republican, Democratic legislators on both sides agreeing, and we can't get it done. Whereas in these other states where they're curtailing voters' rights, they are unfortunately getting it done all too fast. I think we should be out there as an example to the country. We had a very successful experience last time, even in comparison with some of the Democratic states that had issues on counting and process. We didn't have those issues. Let's export our success to other states. We can't do that till we make it permanent, and we can't take advantage and do what we need to do to get into the national debate till we can stand there and say, we've done this.